It is Kimberly, and I am coming to you tonight for our DIY do-it-yourself paint workshop here. And I'm working on this small buffet, as you can see. Let me kind of bring you around a little bit here so you guys can kind of see the project that we're working on. So as you can see, I did do a little repairs on this. So if you're new here, I'm Kimberly. I welcome you. Thank you for, I'm going to shut this door. I had it open trying to let a little air in this workshop so it would cool down a little bit. So thank you for joining me. If you're new here, I am featured in most of my workshop DIY projects, Dixie Belle chalk paint. I also sell that in our local area. So I did come in earlier and clean this piece really well, and I use our White Lightning cleaner, which is a powder cleaner, and we do mix that with water. I sprayed it, and I do use a Scotch-Brite as well when I'm cleaning it, and let me just show you what I mean by a Scotch-Brite. Oh, I had one on there. So this is a little green, I call it a Scotch-Brite. Some people call it a scouring pad or something like that. So this is what I use when I'm cleaning my pieces, and it just makes it kind of a two-step process. So when you clean it, you're also kind of, well, three really. You're deglossing it, and you're also lightly sanding it. So I am going to open this door because it's going to be too hot in here. So it's been pretty warm. Acts like we might get a little rain this evening, which would be wonderful. So if this is your first time joining us, we thank you for joining, and we appreciate that. So I am going to do a couple of things with this tonight, so try to give you guys an idea what's going on with it. So after I cleaned it, I did say after we clean it with a White Lightning cleaner, because of the age of the piece, I always get my boss out. My boss is for bleed through, so it's going to stop those bleed through issues that are going to come in. And like I said, I did use some Bondo on here, and I would probably come in here and sand that a little bit more, but I did put the boss on it as well. And under here, you can see, I'll just bring you in so you can see. So under there, I did do some Bondoing because this was broke off here. And because it was broke off, I wanted to repair it and make my own sort of piece there. So you can see that's Bondo. I did put that on there myself, sanded it first, then put the Bondo on, and then came in and kind of overloaded it with Bondo so that I could form it to make the same shape as the other side. So that's what I did there, and on that little patch up at the top. So that does kind of help when you are trying to make repairs. And Bondo is super strong. So I did use Bondo instead of the Dixie Mud in this case, because there's a good opportunity for that to get hit by something. If somebody's vacuuming down low, obviously I got this up a little bit so I can have it up at my reach while I'm painting. So the Bondo works really well for that because it's really tenacious and it gets super hard. And it will just last a little bit longer in a more used area. So that's why I went ahead and used the Bondo instead of the mud. Now I do use Dixie Mud in a case where there's smaller imperfections, and I'll use the Dixie Mud for that. Pardon me if I sweat while I'm on this video because it is hot. So we did use the cleaner, and then I bossed the entire thing. The reason you can't see it is because I did use Clear Boss. Clear Boss is going to stop that bleed through. You can use, we have this in clear or white, and I always tend to use my clear because I don't have to worry about it popping underneath a color. So tonight when I was going to put my color on, if I was to be putting on, this is the patina, this is our flea market decor line, but also our mermaid tail is super close to the same color. So if you're here and joining us tonight, let me know so I can say hello and welcome you. We haven't been on for a while. We took a little break over the weekend, and I hope everyone had a lovely weekend as well. I know it's been very hot in our area. So I know you guys are hot and probably don't want to be hanging too long on here with me, and I get that. But I did want to come in and show you, obviously I've used out of this. This is kind of a bluish green, almost the same as the mermaid tail. I also have some antebellum here, which I had envisioned maybe blending from the bottom up and bring those color codes in, but who knows, I may not. So, and this is the antebellum. It's been sitting as well. I haven't really used, haven't stirred it up or anything for tonight. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of come up the legs in those colors, or not. Who knows? You never know with me. And then also, I have the sea glass, I believe, that I picked out. Now, the reason I chose the sea glass is because it has similar undertones to it. It has some green to it. So this is kind of a bluish green, and I kind of thought that the two of these would kind of work nice together. So again, if you see me sweating, I apologize. It is very hot here in North Carolina, which is where I am at right now. Most of the time when I am painting, I paint my entire piece, my base color, which would be this color. This would be my base color. And then I will come back in and blend in some of my sea glass to lighten the tone down, if you will, the tone of your paint, because this goes on really bold. Our paint normally dries a little darker than it looks in the can. That's normally when you know you got a good paint. If it dries lighter, then you have to have more applications, and so it's always best, in my opinion, to have a paint the pigment is a little dries darker, and that way you don't have to have a coverage issue. Most of the time we don't have a coverage issue because the pigment is normally pretty strong. And same with the antebellum, the pigmentation in it is pretty strong. So you could come up and just kind of fade these colors from the legs up into, or you can do the solid. I've been painting white. If you guys have been following me here, the table that we just finished last week before the weekend, we finished those, and they obviously in the farmhouse colors. But you know, I love my color, so I'm going to bounce back into color tonight. And since I got all the work basically done, I'm able to jump in and get started with some color. So I also have my spray bottle, and you can see this brush has been used. That's the pigmentation that stained the brush. So this is a mini brush. An angled mini, and then I also have my what I use is a blender brush, which is my oval medium brush. So just whatever brushes work for you. You know, it's not mandatory that you got to use any particular brush. It's just whatever works in your favor. And so what I'm going to do tonight, possibly because it is hot, I just want to kind of show you some blending techniques. I can go forward with this piece, but I know you all don't want to sit here and watch all night somebody painting this entire piece. It bore you to death, and I don't want to do that. But I do want to kind of come in here and see, even though it's warm, and let you guys see sort of some blending on this piece where I'm going to use some of these colors. I could even put the antebellum on, put this color in, and put this color in and sort of blend it for you. So, but a lot of times I'll knock it down to 2 colors. So for tonight, I think I'm going to get started with the flea market decor color. It is patina, but trust me, our mermaid tail is super close if you can't find it. A lot of times I'm not carrying all, and you can see the, let me do one thing here. I'm going to stir this because I've had it here for a little while. And let's see. I know I had me some stir devices here. So let me stir this up. So I got some of these little popsicle sticks, and they work really, really good to stir your paint. My paint has been sitting. I've had this flea market decor for months, and it's just been sitting and waiting in lieu of me coming up with an idea or somebody else to paint. But I love the color because it's very much kind of like a sea green, and I like that. Kind of like the sea glass. So that's why, kind of why I chose it. And I can see with the coverage on that, that's why it needed to be kind of stirred. So you'll see, I can tell the difference as soon as I start painting, how it's going to look or work. But like I said, a lot of times I always, and I would suggest it, this depends on your expertise in painting, I would say, let's just put it that way, how long you've been painting, whether you want to try to blend all at the same time or whether you want your pieces to dry first and then come back in and start your blending process. So on this piece, I did not go around and try to fix every imperfection. You can see how bold this color is on here. And of course, I'm going to be working against the clock because guess what? It's hot and I have a fan running. So yeah, this is kind of like blap on, blap off. But you can get the idea here. This is a beautiful color. I love this color. I'm just going to kind of get this color in here just to kind of show you guys some blending. And like I say, it does a little bit better for me if I just kind of let it dry overnight, my color, and then my base color, and then come back in and blend into my color. So that's just the patina in the flea market decor color. And then I come in with, a lot of times I'll use a different brush to come in. I did add a little water to this, by the way, because it had been sitting, same as my patina. And I'm going to mist my brush, and I'll probably end up misting here. Then I'm just gonna start adding me some sea glass. So just play with your paint. So I'm just gonna add my sea glass. And the goal for me is to create a different hue of blue. So that's my goal, that's what I'm going for. I'm going to tone down the mermaid tail, as you can see. And they're gonna blend beautifully together. This is just kind of gonna show you a blend. I'm gonna just work these colors in. And remember, when your brush starts to drag a little bit with your paint, give it a mist. Just give it a mist. Water is your friend when we are blending. Now most of the time, like I say, I don't try to blend both colors at the same time. I normally let one dry. But I'm just gonna show you how I kind of get in here and bring in, this is my other color again, this is my patina color. So I'm just gonna bring it back, let it drop up there, bring it back in, and I'm just gonna come in here and blend and marry these two colors together. And also, as you see, I have a little towel here, so I'm gonna wipe off some of that color, and I'm gonna blend it. So this is just a really quick blend tutorial. And remember too, the paints that I'm using right now, they have been around. I've had them around for a while. So what I do is just try to make it to where, in my case, where the colors kind of fade off around this edge. So I'm just kind of fading it off. If you feel like that you faded too much out with that lighter tone, you can always just kind of come back in, bring it back, mist your piece. Because in my case, we're working in the heat here. So we're working against time, if you will. Bring your colors back in where you feel like you might need a little dark. If you like, it's totally what you like. And see, you can pull it back off. That's why I say a lot of times if it's dried already, you're not going to pull it back out. And that's why I was kind of concerned about doing it. But you can. And it's hot, so I'm working against the heat with this blend. So when you're doing that, keep it damp. Keep it damp. Back your pressure off. Back off your pressure. But back off pressure means not to push so hard with the brush. So I'm just going to back off my pressure. and you're gonna have a really lovely tone in there. I'm gonna take some of this paint off my brush. My brush nail. Just kind of give you the gist of kind of moving your paint around, keeping it moist. Keeping it moist is key when you're blending your tones, those undertones, keeping them blended. Especially for me tonight because I am working in the heat and I did not let my paint dry. You can go all angles, just blending that paint in from every angle, and then come back, brush it out, brush it out. So I'm pushing a little too hard. Sometimes you can tell if you applying too much pressure, you're pulling your paint back out, which in this case I kind of am sliding it around. And a lot of that too is because it is not dry underneath. So you can kind of bear that in mind when you're just applying your different tones in. It's not dry underneath. So, just kind of work it where you want it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of blending these colors together. Anytime you feel like it's dragging, that's when you need to just kind of bring your water into play. So that you can keep it moving. So it kind of give you a pretty good idea of how it's going to go on when you're with your blending. Most of the time I let my paint dry underneath and never really try to blend the two together at the same time, but a lot of people do. So that's kind of how I do to get my blend on if I'm blending a couple of colors together. You can go back across the bottom here. Anywhere you feel like, you know, you want to blend it some more. And I'm just kind of being really light with the brush. Kind of back way off, getting my color in. And then I'll just let it sit overnight and see how I like it. But for the most part, I will come in and paint my entire piece before and then let it dry. But you can see kind of where I'm going with this. I know our light is a little crazy. Let me shut this door. Maybe that'll make it where that light's not shining on it. I don't know if that made it worse. I think it does. Make it a little bit worse. Let me see. See if I can do that, maybe. I liked it with the door open a little bit. Because I think with the door open, you can see more the true color with the door open because of the light that's coming in on it. But you can kind of see the idea here where you're going in with the mermaid tail on the outer sides, painting the whole thing in the mermaid tail, coming back in and lighten it up with the sea mist, or sea glass, excuse me. I got sea mist on my brain. That must be a place in Myrtle Beach, right? So that's what I do. Just let it sit and dry now, and it'll all kind of blend into itself. Where you see these darker spots right now, what that is showing me that it's drying really quick. Obviously, you can see me sweating here, and the reason it's drying really quick is because of the heat, obviously. So, like I said, most of the time I won't try to do a blend all in one, but I will be coming back in here anyway. But just wanted to give you guys kind of the gist of the idea. Now, if you're using 3 colors, I would go in with my base color, my darkest color first, and then go in with my medium tone, and then come in with your lighter tones, and then kind of blend them all. But where you see these lines, what that is it's drying. Once it dries, it'll all settle in because it's self-leveling paint, and it'll all kind of settle, and you'll get a better idea of the results of the color. But that was what I wanted to show you guys tonight. I wanted to be quick and brief. obviously because it's hot here, but I didn't want to leave you all hanging. I wanted you to be able to see some blending on some more colors, not just all the whites I've been doing recently. So I'm gonna let you all go. I hope you have a very blessed evening. Stay cool, and we'll talk soon. Have a blessed evening, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you for being here.